Welcome to another episode of Prepper Talk Radio, radio for the ready-minded, the podcast for the prepared. We are excited to share with you some of our thoughts and feelings about what's going on with the disasters in Texas, and then a little bit of gift. We're going to do a little bit of basket of things today. We're going to talk about gold and silver as well, why it's kind of spiking right now and what's going on. But we want to make sure you guys go to preppertalkradio.com and download any resources you might need there. The most important part of that actually is that you get on our email list so that we can keep in touch. Make sure you're hitting us up on all of our socials at Prepper Talk Radio, especially on we're trying to grow right now, Instagram. So if you'll hit us up over there and give us a follow and a couple likes, we're doing show notes and other fun tips and tricks there. But definitely hit us up in our group. We're going to start some campaigns for some interaction and some fun giveaways that we're doing. In fact, I'm going to turn it over here in a minute for Scott if he wants to announce the giveaway that he is going to be promoting. So please also like us, a 5-star review if we deserve it on all of the platforms, Apple iTunes, and Spotify. And we're so grateful that you're listening and helping everybody, you and your families, get better prepared. So, Scott, tell us about your contest.
Well, it's not my contest, Paris. This is the Prepper Talk Radio ham licensing contest. So if you want to get your ham license, if you don't have it, or if you want to upgrade to the next level, there's 3 levels, right? Get in our group, Emergency Prep and Self-Reliance. Find the post. It's pinned to the top. We're giving away 2 of these backpacks with the Prepper Talk Radio sweetness. We got our logo. We got some swag on there, but guess what? Now, because it's a ham contest, we've got a couple of UV5Rs we're going to give away, one with each bag, with its own charging dock and everything ready to go for anyone who beats us in this process. So the top 2 who get their license or the next level license qualify. So you got to come in, post where you are, tell us what your goal is, what you're going for, and the first one to get theirs and prove that they've got it. And hey, if you try to fake it, we want to know the date that you actually got it. So if you try to fake it, we'll know because it has the date on the license, congratulatory information. So let's go. Let's be honest. Let's get our ham radios together. Paris and I are in the class. How far are you now?
I have logged in.
I'm crushing you. I'm at 12%.
Nice.
So, I'm learning the phonetic alphabet. It's exciting. I'm working on the different bandwidths and frequency waves. Yeah, I don't know crap. It's really good because
I know that post you put, even that post you made, somebody was like, "Hey, you misspelled one of them."
He's like, spelling, and I'm like, where? I'm like, yeah, you use these for spelling. And he goes, no, spelling. And I'm like, spelling what? Like, what are you trying? He's like, typo on whiskey. I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah, whiskey. It's not what you think, apparently. So I fixed it and reposted it, and there's 2 there. I'm a knucklehead. We all have things we can fix and improve and learn on, and that's why we're doing this ham contest.
Yeah, so we can get better, communicate with each other.
Oh, man. Speaking of communication, have you heard about Houston? What the heck?
Yeah, right? Houston.
We have a problem.
We have a problem. Seriously. This, I think one of our members of our group posted that they survived, thankfully. And so we're interested to know if you had any experience in Houston. If you're near Houston and you want to tell us your story, post it in the group, and we're thinking about maybe even have a couple people on who survived, and we can talk to them about their actual experience. So if you're listening and you were in the Houston area and you want to, you're brave enough to tell your story, let us know. And we're thinking about doing that in an upcoming episode. So 100 to 120 mile an hour winds is what they were saying. And 7 at one point, I don't know if there's updated numbers, but at one point, 7 dead and 4 million people out of power for multiple days. And out of nowhere. Like, this is the kind of thing that's out of nowhere. And so the people who are like, I'm fine, I got the grocery store down the street, I don't need to prepare. Yeah, well, Houston, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Like, you never know when some whack storm is going to come and rip your city to shreds, and you're going to be totally unprepared. And so thankfully, one of our group members said that they had all the stuff they needed been listening to. I'm sure they're preppers anyways, but it doesn't hurt the fact that they've been listening to us and been getting prepared and getting ready even more. And they were ready to take care of they were able to take care of their family. So that's excellent. But my sister was in a plane. She's on her way to the East Coast, and she was supposed to have a layover in Dallas today, and it got delayed, canceled, and she had to do a whole rerouting of stuff. So there's even more happening in the Texas area with these crazy storms and crazy things that are going on.
It is nuts. Like,
yeah. Real quick, Shane has got a family outing, a family adventure, so he's not with us tonight. It's just Scott and I on the show.
Well, and he would be here, but honestly, I would be mad if he was, because, dude, kids come first. And for those of you guys all listening, remember, this is a podcast and you can watch it on YouTube. You can always hit pause, come back to us. Family comes first. Focus on that. That's why we prep. That's why we plan. That's why we prepare, guys. What a good example. So yeah, you mentioned your sister. Where is she now? Is she?
Last I heard, she was in a layover from Austin. She was able to fly into Austin. And I think that from Austin, she went to Houston. And then from Houston, she's going to head over to the East Coast. But she was supposed to fly into Dallas, Fort Worth, and that flight totally shut down. So there's fun, crazy stuff going on. I know that Houston was hit by the storm a few days ago, but then Dallas apparently is getting hit right now.
Yeah, Dallas is under tornado watch right now. Severe thunderstorms, rain issues, a 1,500-mile stretch. 1,500 miles. That's not, Texas is huge, but 1,500-mile stretch from Texas to New York, that's all like going crazy. We've had so many tornadoes, so many things going on. And so this episode's all about like, okay, what's going on and how do we be a little bit more aware and prepared? Because the one that just happened to Houston, they saw the storm coming. What did they called it? It's a derecho.
I mean, it's Spanish for straight, but I don't know why they'd call it
that. Because it's straight out of the blue. Nobody saw it really coming for what it was. Everyone says we saw the storm coming and we knew it was a storm. It was fine and dandy. Then all of a sudden it hit and they're like, this isn't what we expected. Our group member said they were without power for 4 days. She went right through it. She said the first day and a half was fine. After that, the heat took over again, the humidity took over again. And it's like, yeah, this is what it's like to live without power. And that's not something I would enjoy. I don't know if that's something you would enjoy, Paris, but that goes to what are we doing for preparedness for these types of storms? And with it being tornado season right now and hurricane season coming up, it's a good time to double check your preps. Make sure you've got the staples you need to get through what's coming in your area, what's going to affect you.
I mean, you and I both lived in Florida during hurricane season. And, you know, the preps that are there have extra plywood to board up your windows. Make sure you have extra 2x4s to reinforce the plywood that's protecting your windows. Because you have a tornado or 120-mile-an-hour winds. I don't know too many windows that are going to be able to stand against that and not have some kind of, integrity issue or break completely and shatter. And then you got glass flying at you. That you don't want that. So, of course, the time that you have to prepare is critical. So if the storm hits and it's like 5 minutes and you don't have time, of course you do what you can with the time that you have, but you should have things ready to go in case of those types of storms to protect your windows, to protect your family. And then, I mean, if the roof flies off, there's not much you can do about that. Although, have you seen those straps? They have those straps, those roof straps that I've seen in some areas, where they can literally strap down your whole house and they have stakes that go in your front yard and your backyard and then strap over the whole roof. I've seen those.
You know, the reason they need those? Shoddy craftsmanship. The roofs that were flying off the houses during hurricanes, those are ones that weren't fastened correctly. And a lot of them aren't. Builders are cheating the system a lot of times. There's some builders that are fantastic. But the other thing is if they're not really, really tied down and you don't have additional strapping inside the framing, like anything can come apart. And the wood we use, if you look at the cross section of the wood, it's not as many layers deep as it used to be. Like the wood we used to have was so much stronger and it could hold more nails and screws and everything else. And it was just better quality. Now we're growing it so fast and so quick and just as much as we can so we can build and produce. It's just not as durable and tough. So having stuff on hand is absolutely vital. So if you got a hurricane coming, you're usually days, weeks in advance being notified of it. So you've got time, get your plywood. You've got time, get your fasteners. You've got time, get your water, get your food, get a toiletry solution figured out because plumbing's going to be out for a few days if it hits you, right?
Yeah.
If it landfalls where you are, you've got to have a plan for that. Either evacuate early or have everything you need to be able to shelter through it.
Mm-hmm.
Tornadoes is a totally different story. The tornadoes that I went through, we didn't know about it until the following morning. And it had bounced through my entire, like all the cities where I lived. I was a missionary. I was in Florida, and it bounced through 5 different cities. It was the most dangerous tornadoes in history, deadliest tornadoes in the history of Florida. And it was devastating. Sirens didn't go off. People weren't warned because it was middle of the night. And that's the weird thing is tornadoes usually don't come in the middle of the night. So at least not where we lived. So you got to have better plans for what you can do when they're happening. So again, it comes back to post tornado. What do I do? Do I have a backup water supply? Do I have a backup way to clean my clothes? Do I have a backup power system or battery bank or generator? Do I have water and water purification? Do I have medical stuff ready to go? And is it stuff I can access after a tornado? Before the tornado, if you do get a warning, make sure you have the weather alerts on your phone or on other devices to notify you, your own personal siren system, but also where are you going to go during those events? In a tornado, you want to get in the smallest, most inner room of the house. Bathroom in the tub's a great spot. Or if you, even better is if you have one of those little cellars outside your home. A lot of people are getting those tornado shelters, which are fantastic. You can also use those as a food cellar when you're not huddling in place. But you got to have something well in advance so that you can use it at a moment's notice.
Mm-hmm. And know
Otherwise,
where it
what are
is.
you going to do? Yeah, know where it is, know how to use it. And it goes back to planning. I think that's the most overlooked part of preparedness. People just do not plan. And if you're not planned and you're not prepped in that plan, when the moment for decision arrives, it's too late.
Yeah, I remember watching a couple of videos. One was a framed house. It was just framed. And it was a 3-story house, and it completely blew over like it was made of toothpicks.
Mm-hmm.
Just completely blew over. That speaks to what you were saying earlier about, of course, there's not a lot of reinforcement in the framed house, but it just blew right over. And then I saw several videos of people like in downtown areas where they were in a restaurant, looked like a restaurant of some kind, where big windows and trees and all kinds of things were blowing up against those windows, and everybody was panicked. And I'm thinking to myself, if you know there's a storm coming, what are you doing in a restaurant downtown? Like, get home, get bunkered in, and go. And of course, I could be totally misunderstanding, and that's how fast, and maybe that's just how fast it hit. It just Everybody thought no big deal. They were out and doing their thing, and I saw high rises, like several high rise buildings with all of the windows blown out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing that if you're in a high rise, that's one of the things I don't really like about this Agenda 2030,
15-minute cities.
15-minute cities nonsense. Like,
Crazy.
they're building, don't build out, build up. Well, if you build up, you're going to put yourself in danger of Mother Nature. I mean, it seems to me.
Well, I think of the homes that do the best remind me of this really profound story from my childhood. The story of the 3 little pigs. Have you ever heard that one?
Oh yeah.
Right. Which house did the best? The straw house, the wood house, or the block house?
The blockhouse, the bricks.
Block
Yeah.
house, right? Bricks, cinder blocks. Like the homes that when I lived in Florida, the homes that just were resilient and did great, cinder blocks, concrete walls. When I lived in Arizona, adobe walls. Like there's so many things. If you're doing like earthen bag home, you're doing a cob home, like if you're doing a block home, a brick home, like they're just more durable, right? Every house has its weak points. But if you're building your house, I guess I can't say straw anymore because now there's a straw technique where you layer it in lime and you can pack the whole thing. It's extremely eco-friendly and very durable because of the outer coating. So maybe the first little pig was onto something, just didn't get done. I don't know. I don't have enough information yet. However, I prefer the whole idea of a block home.
Yeah.
And I think it's just for longevity, for durability, for low amounts of maintenance. It's yes, but it also limits you on some things. So everything has a trade-off. I would trade up to armored home if I could.
Oh,
I've got
yeah, right.
a facade on the front of my house, but it's all stick. It's a stick frame home.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to have something more robust.
Yeah, those like panic rooms and stuff like that put in your house. Those would be fun to have. That's like a dream down the road.
Well, I want to have, yeah, you can call it a panic room, but I want to have like a panic pantry, but then I'd just be bloated and fat all the time. Like I want to have, like, it would be cool to have a room that's hidden, nobody else knows about, but it's like a man cave, armory slash library. And when I say man cave, not like a giant screen TV and all the games and all the sci-fi stuff on the walls, like just like cool stuff, manly man stuff, like, but an armory and all the other cool stuff in there and like board games, like put everything in there. So it's like, okay, we're going to do a power outage drill for the family for 3 days. Oh, the severe weather storm. Oh, boom. Let's hang out in there for 3 days. And you could, there'd be plenty of stuff in there. It's got its own little bathroom, septic system, everything, like boom. That would be sweet.
That would be sweet. Well, without giving you whiplash, we wanted to also spend a few minutes talking about what we've seen a pretty good spike in the last little bit with gold and silver. And today it was down a little bit, but it spiked to one of its highest points in recently. And let me show you this. So
That's crazy.
gold. So May 20th, gold hit the highest it's been in a long time. I'm going to look at the year. If you see the chart on the screen here, it's been May 20th. You can see down here below, it says May 20th, 2024. And then that was the high, that was the peak right there at $2,426.33 an ounce. And that's the highest it's been in a year. And if I look at all time, that's the highest it's been all time.
Isn't that
So
crazy?
we're seeing some really amazing things with gold and silver. So going back to year to date, so we get a little bit of a different view, a closer view. The May 20th, 2,426, and today it's 2,394. So it's coming down, but is it just a dip and it's going to bounce back, or what are we seeing? Like, what are your thoughts? Like, give us some thoughts in the comments. Shoot us an email with some of your thoughts. But over here on the silver side of things, same kind of thing. My screen is not refreshing very fast. Okay, here we go. So same thing, May 20th, May 21st. It hit the highest, $32.03. Let me look at all time. All-time high was $42 back in 2011. So it wasn't the all-time high, but since 2011, and then again, I think it hit in 2012. But since September-ish of 2012, this is the highest part that it's been in a very long time. So $32 an ounce. Today it's dropped down to $30, $31 an ounce. So we're seeing some movement in the precious metals market. Now, first and foremost, any movement in precious metals is showing you how the dollar is really fluctuating. Not that gold is all of a sudden become more valuable or that silver has become more valuable, because they track with the dollar, the value of the dollar. If the value of the dollar goes up, gold usually comes down. If the value of the dollar goes down, gold comes up. So if we're seeing spikes in gold, that means that the dollar is being devalued and the dollar is losing value, which is, as we know, with what's going on with the BRICS nations coming in and what they were trying to do, and with what the economy is, trying to do this year, it's definitely something to watch.
Well, it's interesting because we look at gold as an asset tool, right? As preppers, because we know that there's windows of time where it's really great to use your gold and silver, and there's windows in time that it will be completely useless, and that's why your food stores are more important, right? But what's interesting is that was the month before last, we had a huge financial change in ownership of Facebook and ownership of Amazon and ownership of Walmart. We saw founders selling off tons and tons of stock. Well, interestingly enough, we've talked about this on another episode, I believe, luxury items and assets purchases are on the rise.
Interesting.
Gold and silver fall in that same category. They're assets.
Mm-hmm.
But they're
store of value assets.
Right. I think it's a result. Like, are they putting all their money into gold and silver? No, obviously not. Otherwise, gold and silver would be through the roof right now. But I think they're putting their money into assets, and this is one of those assets. And I think anyone that's gotten into gold or silver already, great move, right?
Yeah, tangible assets. That's what you mean, right?
Yeah, tangible assets. But it's interesting because like yacht sales are on the rise. Private party yacht sales are on the rise. Private party jets sales are on the rise. Those are typical indicators, right? So it's just interesting. The more I see, the more I watch. What are the other factors? Well, we also know that there's banking crises going on. So yeah, of course, with the inflation, with the banking crisis, these things are going to push it to where it should be. And sadly, our dollar is getting smaller and smaller. And also all of the companies are sharing record profits. So we need to start pulling our money away from those guys as much and as fast as you can. Because yikes, man, it's getting out of hand. And I don't know what else we can do besides just keep blocking those big companies and stop spending there to let them know. Like what's been going on with Kellogg, I think was great. I don't know if it was enough, but that Kellogg's banned because their CEO came out and said, "Oh, just have cereal for dinner." You know, yeah, we were already doing that. Thanks a lot, jerk.
Yeah, you're so out of touch.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go have another steak tartare for dinner, and you guys can suck it while I eat caviar."
Yeah, you can go eat your Frosted Flakes.
But when the SHTFs, we'll be over here eating our MREs, and he'll be out there sucking on dirt. You know, like let's be smart.
Right, or in his bunker somewhere. So I was intrigued as I saw a spike in gold and silver this last little bit, like literally April 30th. So in just the last month, this month of May, in the last month, we've seen it climb almost $100, just over $100 an ounce in gold. And then we see the silver climb just in the last month from 26 to 32. That's a 20% jump in 1 month.
That's huge.
That is huge when you think about that, when you put it in perspective like that. From April 30th to May 20th, that's actually 3 weeks. That's a 20% jump in just 3 weeks in just the silver. And I don't know what the percentage is in gold, but probably just 3 weeks, it's about 10% jump in gold.
And they're both on the decline right now. So what are they doing to offset the adjustments?
Yeah, right? How did it peak, and then why is it coming off that peak?
Yeah, why did it peak so fast and come back down so fast? Like, so it's interesting. Keep watching it, right? It's an indicator. It's not the only thing to watch, the only thing to pay attention to, but it's really interesting to watch how things move. And
I think it has a lot to do with what's going on. I think it's a lot to do with what's going on in the Middle East. You know, with the news about, I think the president of Iran, I think it was, they got killed in a helicopter crash. I mean, there's some stuff going on over there that, yeah, I think people are getting like, wait a minute, we need to get tangible with our stuff, or otherwise there could be. I was talking to another guy the other day, and in fact, he was actually talking to me about, and us, Scott and I and Shane, about being a guest on his podcast to talk about preparedness, because he's really into the political world scene, macro stuff. And he really wants to start helping people get prepared because he's seeing what's on the horizon. And he's like, hey, you guys are great at this. Let's have you on our show. And so we're like, okay, cool. So we're working on that. But he was saying that there's so many places right now that, like, there's so many hot spots that any one of these could burst into World War III. It's like more than it's ever been, number one. Number two, we've heard that for a while now. So some people are like, well, we've heard it for so long. Is it just crying wolf? Well, probably you just be ready, because even in the story of the crying wolf, the wolf eventually came. And so don't be caught off guard is what I'm really trying to say. As you're watching the world go to, where in a handbasket, I think it's a good idea to keep your ears to the ground and your eyes open and seeing what's going on and watching some of these things, because we don't know what is China going to trigger it? Is Iran going to trigger it? Is what's going on with Japan going to trigger it? Who knows? Like, it's all of it could be a trigger that makes it go. And it's just not Ukraine. Is Ukraine going to trigger it? I mean, I remember I was watching a congressional hearing. I can't remember the congressman. He asked one of our military leaders, he's like, what would you do if we doubled your budget? And the guy was like, well, wow. I mean, I don't know. We tons of stuff, right? He says, we literally just sent your budget to Ukraine, and we could have had it and given it to you. Wouldn't that have been better if you had it instead of them? And of course, he had to answer politically because he was on the spot, and he was,
Oh no,
yeah, I don't know. We get what we get, and we deserve what we deserve, and that, well, whatever he said. And so I'm just saying, there's stuff to watch out for and be ready for. And gold and silver spiking like this was kind of an indicator to me that, hey, something's on the horizon. So we just wanted to touch on it and give you guys a heads up.
And absolutely, it's one of those things you need to pay attention to, because it's another indicator in our situation. Food prices, gold and silver prices, assets in general. What's interesting also is just watching what happened in Houston, watching what's going on with the gold market. Here locally, I haven't had any power outages, but we've had crazy internet outages and bandwidth restrictions like crazy. So that can happen anywhere. And we've also had cell phone outages. I don't know if you've experienced this, but we've had times where calls aren't going through, and it's happening more and more frequently. So just be aware and be okay with that and have your backup plan in place. That's why we're pushing things like our ham radio contest. Go get your license, right? So you have a long range communication solution. A lot of times people use ham so they can hop messages from one ham to the next across the United States or across the state. There's so many tools and resources. And if you're not planning now and you're not preparing now, you're going to hit that time where you wish you had. And that's what's going to hurt you the most. Because you will have failed, and we don't want you to do that. We want you to be prepared. Go to the Prepper Talk Radio website, preppertalkradio.com. We've got the free resources on what to download, what to have for your emergency kits. We've got a food storage calculator that help you figure out what's in my inventory now, how much is that really, and how long will it last. I built this myself after trying to find tools that really could do it for me, and nothing out there worked. So it's a cool tool. You can copy and save it for yourself. Get in our group. We really want to help you. We also want your feedback. So if you're into prepping, you feel like this is a very valuable asset in your life, we would appreciate your feedback and enjoy having you in our community, because it is very valuable to have like-minded people in your corner. And it's a safe place to talk about preparedness without feeling like you're the crazy person in the family. Right.
And we all should have experienced that at some point in our lives.
Oh man. Some people just will never see the light, right? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And that is sadly most people right now.
Well, the good news about disasters like what's happening in Houston is it wakes people up to the reality that, hey, we thought we were prepared and we weren't. Or maybe they test their preps against this storm. Maybe the people in Houston are now going to be better prepared. And maybe the rest of us can learn the lesson from that example. And hopefully that's the case. Hopefully we take this lesson and we learn from it, and we say, okay, what can we do to be better prepared? If a hurricane or tornado, or if my town had 120-mile-an-hour winds all of a sudden, what would I do? And how would I survive that? And then how would I thrive in that? So hopefully the example of what's going on in Houston is going to take care of you and give you that opportunity. The other thing I'm going to throw my tinfoil hat on for a minute. And, Texas has been such a burden on the federal government that I often wonder why they're getting so many storms and tornadoes and other things. I wonder if that weather machine up in Washington that they're pushing buttons and causing things to happen down there that to try to get those people to get in line. So if you agree with that, I'd love to see your smile, but if you don't agree with that, then just realize that Mother Nature has been trying to kill us for hundreds of years, regardless of any weather machines that are out there. So either way, natural disasters are a legitimate concern for anybody and everybody. So with that, I think
I think that's a really good point. I know you want to cut out and be done.
Oh, no, go for it.
I think that is like, as you started talking about, I'm like, I had that thought yesterday because I saw an article. We're almost out of time, but last of my tinfoil hat, I saw an article about the Northern Lights that everyone just saw, and that's not really the Northern Lights, but there's chemicals and metals being sprayed in the atmosphere up north, and they're doing some weather modification testing. And then we get hit with these storms, and then we're seeing more and more stuff happening. It's like, 2 plus 2 no longer equals 3. Wait, I mean 4. Wait, no, what is it? Right? If it adds up, it adds up. And I'm like, it's a little suspect. The tinfoil hat's not fully around yet. I'm still trying to figure it out, but yeah. Yeah. And lastly,
I was just thinking with all that's going on in Texas, why does it seem like, I mean, there's places that are getting hit all over the country, but it seems like Texas has been a target. Just saying.
We talked about this a few weeks ago about the Boy Scout Handbook and how great that is. And I wanted to show what I acquired recently. 1964, 7th edition Boy Scout Handbook. Nice. Epic. A lot of browns used and earth tones in all the drawings. But it's got all the amazing stuff. If you can find one of these, if you can thrift one of these or garage sale, like, it's got edible plants. It's got everything. It's another one of those great tools to have. And I'm stoked because it's now part of my library. And I also got a cold weather survival from the 1950s. And then this book, I don't even know where it came from. The Sense of Survival from, let's see, J. Allen South. It's falling apart. Oh, 19. It's not on that page. There it is. Copyright. Oh, page is smudged. Copyright 1980. The older survival books I can find, the better, because I just am like, these have different tips. These have different things. These have more hands-on DIY solutions. Whereas now it's like, oh, go buy this, go buy that. You don't have to buy all that.
Yeah.
Get some books, download some PDFs. We got our own. You can get them on the website. But yeah, final food for thought. Go get some more books.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. And you've been listening to Prepper Talk Radio, radio for the ready-minded, the podcast for the prepared. Make sure that you hit up Jace Medical, because with all the things that are going on, we want to make sure you have your medical supplies in place before an emergency hits. And last I checked, the wilderness doesn't have a pharmacy. So you want to make sure you have your pharmacy in place, in your bag, ready to go. Also, please hit up mylibertybox.com/Prepper Talk. That is going to give you an opportunity to submit your information to be contacted about switching your dollars from woke companies to companies that are owned by Americans, American jobs, American manufacturing, American distribution. And every dollar that you can switch to a company that's going to be more in line with our values is going to be a dollar well spent. So go to mylibertybox.com/Prepper Talk and enter your information there, and we'll be happy to reach out to you and share with you what we're doing to switch our dollars. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care, guys.
Peace out.